So this is the last talk in the whole series we were doing in August, and that was weaving the threads of a spiritual tapestry, a way of living. And we do that because we want the highest and the very best of the divine which is within us, but to move through and as us. And before we bring this to a close, there's one very important element or thread to this tapestry, of which, if we don't have it, it will fall apart. So today is the culmination of the last 4 talks. I think this is the 5th one. And then we go into a new subject, which is all spiritual, next week. So we have an acronym for this morning. Last week we had an acronym for sin, and that was in the song, separate in nature. That's what we are defining sin as, separate in nature from the divine. And today we get real, R-E-A-L, and we will recognize everything as love. The reading was perfect for this. Recognize everything as love. A lot of Ernest Holmes today, so here we go. One of his most powerful statements was, love points the way and the law makes the way possible, which if you took foundation class, you would understand that really on a very deep level. Love and law. Charles Fillmore, the founder of Unity, he wrote in his talks on truth, love is the drawing power of mind. It is the magnet of the universe, and about it may be clustered all the attributes of being by one who thinks in divine order. 2 very powerful statements, yet its application here in our human experience can be somewhat elusive. Today we will explore in very concrete terms, concrete as we can get terms, how love can point the way to a life of genuine happiness and fulfillment, because that's what we all want. So, and that the law can make this way possible. What is love anyway? I keep thinking of Tina Turner every time I do. You know, God bless her. I mean, she just came through me as I'm kept writing this. What's love got to do with it anyway, right? And it's a great question about which poets and philosophers of the ages have pontificated. Tomes have been written about love. Innumerable songs have been dedicated to love. Countless sermons have been given about love. So we will look at love from 2 perspectives. The first is to lay the groundwork. We will look at love at the level of macrocosm. And for those that aren't familiar with macrocosm and microcosm, the divine God is the macrocosm. It's all macro. We are microcosms of that same nature of the divine, since we have been created out of God's nature, yeah? So first, we're going to look at the macrocosm, level of Ernest Holmes waxed somewhat poetic about, in the Science of Mind book, you know how he can really get very flowery and descriptive with his words, and especially when it came to love. And here are a few things that he had to say. Love is the self-givingness of spirit. It is the desire of life to express itself in terms of creation. Love is the cosmic force whose sweep is irresistible. It is the central flame of the universe, nay, the very fire itself. Love is an essence and atmosphere which defies analysis, as does life itself. It is that which is and cannot be explained. Really can't. Love reigns supreme over all. The essence of love, while elusive, pervades everything. Words cannot express its depth or meaning. A universal sense alone bears witness to the divine fact God is love and love is God. Interchangeable, the synonyms. God is love. Love is God. It's just all the same. It is the self-givingness of spirit. The self-givingness for no reason except to just give of its own divinity to each and every, all of life, not just human life, all of life, because it's so magnificent and it's everywhere, it's boundless, it's planets and galaxies, it's so much. And implied here, although not directly stated, is that this self-givingness is of spirit is one with absolutely no strings attached. It is given freely, without condition, and it is given to each and every expression of life equally. Everyone has the same amount of divine love within them. God's love, which I'm going to call real love, is a constant and genuine concern for the happiness and well-being of others with no regard for what it might get from us. Just freely given, freely given. I think this is also the definition of grace, which usually comes up in one of the classes. What is the real definition of grace? Well, I'm giving it to you now. It is the self-givingness of spirit to all that it created. That is what grace is. It's the action of God's love being constantly, freely, and completely given. Completely devoid of conditions. There are no conditions. Holmes, in his Science of Mind glossary, writes this: grace is the givingness of spirit to its creation. I think that we might be able to intellectually grasp these ideas, but the big question remains. Can we feel them? We know these words are all very beautiful. I love reading the words, but can we feel them? Because sometimes it feels like there is a wall up between us and the actual words, the feeling. So let's just take a deep breath as I read 3 little things for us. A sense, this is what it can be. It can fill our very being with a sense of peace and calm. A sense that all is well. A sense that you are always protected and provided for. I'll just breathe that in. That is it all. That's it all. And that universal force of love is always there to protect and guide us, always there for us. This is also from Holmes. We are fed from the table of the universe, whose board is spread with blessedness and peace, whose loving kindness has never been fathomed, whose grace and truth are cornerstones of reality, more than we could ask. Greater than this cannot be given. If you can really feel those things at your core, if you can say, yes, I know that love, that is fantastic. In fact, it's incredible, wonderful. My guess is, however, that for a lot of us, they are just words. But they don't reach you at that level, the core of your being. You want them to, oh yes, oh how you want them to, but they just don't. This can happen. It feels like there's some wall, as I said, some barrier standing between us and that concept of divine love. And you might not want to admit it because you're afraid that somebody or even you would think you're not spiritual enough. Sometimes we just don't feel it, right? We'll get more into that as we go along. And you're probably thinking right now that you're the only one who is in that category. I love these words. I believe them. I believe them with all my heart. I'm just not feeling them in my core, in my heart. Something is wrong with me, or I'm not doing it right. Perhaps, just perhaps, you check this out with yourself to see if that idea fits. And perhaps you can't feel God's love because you have rarely, if ever, had that kind of love in your human experience. It is completely foreign to you, as I know it was to me, and it still is sometimes. Completely foreign. It is beyond your comprehension. It is unfathomable. You have nothing in you that knows it. Now, Holmes, no, please hear me out. That's what I want to say. Hear me out. I'm like, I gotta tell everyone that I haven't told already. And all these guys on YouTube and Facebook, yeah. My face is a little swollen, so I'm having trouble with the words, but I'm getting them out because I feel them in my body. So however that comes out, it comes out. There is nothing wrong with you, though. You just don't have the context to put God's love in. We'll address how to get that context as we look at the next level of love, the microcosm. The level of microcosm. Holmes tells us, it is written that God is love. We believe that. And that we are his express likeness. The image of the eternal being, love, is self-givingness through creation. The impartation of the divine through the human. And he also says, love is at the very center of our being. And the calm, continuous pulsation of life are governed by love. And that's the truth. These are beautiful spiritual truths. But here's the deal with spiritual truths. At the level of the microcosm, which is our human. One is divine, one is human. Microcosm is we are microcosm. So at that level, they mean nothing if we do not embody them, if we don't live them, if we don't practice them and utilize them. Change your thinking, change your life is a fabulous spiritual concept that we use all the time from Holmes. And we all say, yes, right on. That's it. That's the truth. Fantastic. And then we go on thinking the same way that we always did. We wonder, where's God? Didn't answer my prayers. And why our lives have not changed. The same is true with love. We respond, we espouse love ideas. We say we are love. We quote Jesus who said, love thy neighbor as thyself. We sing songs about love. I preach sermons on love. And then we leave here and we get angry at the person that just cut us off in traffic. We get irritated at if we have young children or grandchildren, who are whining and tugging at us when we are on the phone. Or we try to take control of our adult children and get exasperated at them for not listening to us. And I say, good luck with that. That's one way yeah. You love them, but you have to keep the words in, yeah, when you have advice that is unsolicited. Or we try to control our another person, our spouse, our significant other. And we can't, and we don't understand why we can't. We get frustrated at our boss if we're working because they make unreasonable demands upon us. We are intolerant of a friend when she goes back once again to that abusive relationship. We blame our parents for not giving us love. That's why radical forgiveness is so great. We blame our parents. I wasn't loved as a child. Well, maybe you weren't. Neither was I. So get over it. We're moving on. We have to move on. We engage in all sorts of unloving, in fact, sometimes hate-filled acts to ourselves, both mentally and things such as negative self-talk, physically with addiction. And it goes on and on. The whole list goes on. And I dare say we don't really know that much about expressing love. Some of us do. The real love that we are. We are pure love. And that takes practice to express that pure love. So what does it mean to really love at this human level? And that is something I have longed to understand for a very long time. I have struggled with wanting to be loving, yet doing my own version of those things I just listed, and then walk away from a situation feeling pretty bad about it, and vow the next time I will do it differently. I won't be the same. I'm going to be so much better next time. I vow to express that love so much better as me. And because I'm a good metaphysician, I know that love points the way and the law makes it possible. So what is the law making possible for me when I'm not expressing the love that I am? It makes the way for me to experience more of the same unhappiness, more of the same experiences rather than something different. And Holmes tells us, to the degree that we embody love, we are loved. So people who love are loved. That's very important. You have to give it away in order to receive it. But the next time comes and we respond the same way. Anyone else ever have that experience? It might just be me. So no one else has. So what's the answer? There must be an answer. And at least I know that for me, author Greg Bear, who did incredible workshops at one of our Anson retreats, incredible, wrote many books on real love. And they are really good books, very good books. And if you remember our definition at the level of macrocosm, it holds the same at the level of microcosm. Real love is, this is what it is, a genuine concern for the happiness and well-being of another without regard for what I will get in return. So in the past, I've been asked a lot of questions about living a spiritual life. And I want to answer them all right here. How do I create and cultivate the bond of family and friends? Give love. How can I love myself in spite of appearances, in the middle of a trauma, pain, darkness, when I don't feel lovable? Get loved. What is a spiritual practice I could do to cultivate happiness? Love thy neighbor as thyself. How do I integrate all of this into my life outside of this spiritual center? Simply give and get love. Allow that loving, it works. That is kindness, it's all respect, It's all of these qualities. Why do it? To be genuinely happy and fulfilled. And I don't mean to be flippant or light on these questions, but those are the answers. And we've heard it over and over again. It will all come down to, it's the glue to that love, the giving and the receiving and the accepting of love. Here's Ernest Holmes' answer to the why do it. Without love, nothing can be accomplished. With love, all things are possible. When we love, our prayers are answered, and the gift of heaven is made. As we enter into this paradise through the gateway of love toward one another and toward God, love is greater than all else and covers a multitude of mistakes. Love overcomes everything and neutralizes anything that is unlike itself. And I love the way Holmes always has things neutralized, because in a belief or in anything that we wish to release, it must be neutralized before the growth can occur, the change can occur. How do we give real love? Remember, it is a genuine concern for the happiness and well-being of another without regard for what I will get for myself in return. Before we can give it, we have to have a bit of it for ourselves. In fact, quite a bit of it, self-love. How many of us have struggled with self-love? Raising the hand. I remembered when I first started in these teachings many years ago that I thought love is too foreign, it's too far out there. I'm going to start with like. So self-like. No, simply. I mean, that's what came through to me. It's just like myself. You know? And then everything else. Because the love really means respecting who we are. To me, love means respect. That's what it really, I can wrap my head around. You know, we can, it's the highest vibration there is. But anyway, before we can give it, we have to do something that is almost like priming a well. We have to pump, what is it called? Pump prime the pump. Prime the pump. We have to have a little bit of water in there before the water can move around. And it's the same thing within us. We have to have that little bit of love within us before we can give it, before we can express it, before we can feel it. How do we receive it? By telling the truth about ourselves to others who are capable of seeing us and loving us and accepting us no matter what. Telling the truth means to take 100% responsibility for ourselves and our experiences. We could tell the truth about ourselves as we talk about people and events in our lives. We talk to people about what we do all the time. With little thought and courage, we can turn those moments into extraordinary experiences. And here's some examples from Greg Bauer's book, Real Love. So we have a few of them. He writes, I was really irritated with my husband yesterday when he didn't, and you can name the thing, and then I realized that I don't have the right to demand that he do everything I want. That's a concept.
That's a great concept.
Say nothing, sir. That's pretty selfish of me, really. All the time that I've been married, I have been blaming, this is from Greg Bauer's book, it's been his fault. So I've been blaming him and expecting him to change. And it caused a lot of unhappiness. I haven't been accepting him and loving him very much. I've been more interested in my own happiness and I have a lot to learn about relationships, and also in his book. I go to church every Sunday, but I often feel like a real hypocrite. I still get angry at the people around me, and I often don't feel very loving or forgiving. I wonder if I'm a good example of the things I claim to believe. Another one, I was lecturing my daughter about something yesterday when I realized that I couldn't remember the last time I sat down with her and told her I loved her. I don't remember my parents ever doing that with me. Maybe that's why I don't do it with my daughter. I've always thought of myself as a loving parent, but I think I need to change some things. And these are all powerful, powerful things to say. And when we take 100% responsibility for ourselves and freely admit our mistakes and see that we are still accepted, no matter what, we're still accepted. We learn that we can be loved even when we are wrong, weak, or even when we're being foolish. When we feel loved under those conditions, there's really nothing left to hide. There's nothing left to fear, and that's a great feeling. Many times we feel like we gotta hide so many of our dark secrets within us because that person won't love us anymore if they find out our dark secrets. When you can let those secrets out and be loved anyway, that's so healing. It's incredibly, incredibly healing. And so I would like to finish this talk today with another reading from Ernest Holmes. These are all from Science of Mind, his book. The two great commandments are to love God and our brothers and sisters. On these hang all the laws and the prophets. Love is a complete unity with life, and we cannot enter this state unless we are in unity with all that lives. For all life is one. To love God alone is not enough, for this would exclude our fellow man. To love our fellow man alone is not sufficient, for this would be too limited a concept of God. When we realize that God and we are one and not two, we shall love both. We shall love one another as expressions of God. And when we are able to do this, we will have woven that golden thread. That's the thread that binds and it's the glue of the whole tapestry of life, is that thread, that golden thread of love. It holds the entire spiritual tapestry together. And so it is.